Congrats for the award. How are you?
I'm good, good. Bien, bien. Feliz de estar aquí y todo. Yeah.
30 years of Go Fish. How do you think everything changed since then?
I think that there's a lot more work, I think. There's a lot more representation. I think, I wish there were bigger budgets and, but and then we'll see kind of coming into, especially in the US, we'll see, because we're having a really huge sliding backwards, in terms of progress in human rights that's happening. So we'll see how, where the voices go.
Yeah, talking about that, how do you think everything's going to change right now in the country, in America?
Oh, I'm nothing good is going to come out of this thing, right? It is the first they are making the plan to actually create camps for the migrants, right? Mm-hmm. How are you going to tell who's who? Only 20% of the people in the United States have a passport, right? 20%. A lot of Americans don't travel outside of the country. So if you have a driver's license, does that prove that you're legal? What is going to prove? Like, I don't think that I have a copy of my birth certificate at home. Like it's not something that a lot of people. You don't carry papers. Normalmente. So I'm afraid of that. Then the workforce will. We're going to go into an economic decline because of the tariffs and because of losing that workforce. Then what are you doing? You're forcing women to have babies. And that is honestly, I think the right wing is like, we need more babies so that there's a bigger workforce. And then what you do is separate the power so that all of these people will be so broke and, and unable to afford things that suddenly you have a new workforce. You'll have Americans who are willing to work in the fields, for very little money. So it's really just like, I don't understand this level of greed under the guise of Christianity. And it's just, it's so hypocritical. It's so insane to me. But the whole world's moving in this right direction. Yeah.
It's happening everywhere. Yeah. It's always about minorities, right?
We're the first to go. Yeah. Always the minorities are the first to go, right? When these things happen, when someone, when there's unrest, everybody always throws the gays on the table. They throw people of color on the table, migrants on the table. We have to villainize someone so that the population, the general population, like, yeah, they have somebody that they could go after, right? And someone that they can villainize while these guys are back here taking over, tearing it all apart, and taking all the money. It's a very, it's been done so many times. This is nothing new.
In cinema, television, what can we do?
I'm very afraid of that because in the US, for example, a lot of the companies are run by Wall Street. They're run by larger corporations, right? So, we are entering this fear-based culture where everyone's afraid of Trump's retribution, right? For example, yesterday, there's this law that passed that NGOs like the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, that if they do anything that feels contrary to Trump, he can stop funding for them. He could take away their status as a not-for-profit, right? Yeah. So you're talking about this is fascism on steroids. It's like instant. It's like they are just setting it all up to be like, you don't cross the boss. So because all the companies are owned by these millionaires and billionaires, they don't want to cross who that is. So I think that we're going to enter this very conservative moment, more cop shows, more white guys saving the day, more, you know what I mean? So I don't know what's going to happen to queer representation. It's interesting.
It's probably going to be hard right now.
Oh my God.
And
it was hard before.
Yeah. It's always.
Since the first Trump administration, because things already, it's not like he left it's like not like that kind of hatred and vitriol left. It only grew while he was away, right? Yeah. And he's been running for office for 750 days, you know what I mean? So he never disappeared. And then that kind of, it was there already, and I think, honestly, I think 8 years of Obama, I don't think the country was ready for that, because it really brought out just the racism in the US. And I mean, and you know, I mean, I knocked doors for Harris, you know, and really felt like we had a chance, you know. But you have to always remember that this is a very sexist and racist country, you know. We're also becoming really divided over education. So you have all the people who went to college voting for Harris and all the people who didn't voting for Trump. And that's the way you control the masses, right? You undereducate them, right? That's the number one, undereducate, and make them, and then inundate, right? And now the machine to inundate is so huge. And so, yeah, I'm really fearful. Who are we if we don't have an education? Who are we if we don't have the money to come to another country and see how other people live? Yeah. You know, who are you if your world doesn't open up? You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the point. It's also you.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to dissolve the Department of Education. You know, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know, privatize. That means only the wealthy people are going to have a good education, and it already is like that in the U.S. It's already there. You know, I used to work at this non-accredited high school called Latino Youth in Chicago and Pilsen, because the dropout rate was 91%. You know, because there's so much violence and so much gang activity and things like that the kids get afraid to go to school. So that school that I taught at, you'd have to be 16 and we got your GED, you know, but like that's the kind of thing that they would dissolve, you know, that kind of organization. So
just know what they teach you, basically. And going back in the time, what challenges did you face when you first make Goldfish in the 1990s?
Money. No money, a lack of, but you know what we had? What we had that I think really got the film made was a certain, you know, ignorant determination. If I knew more about filmmaking now, I would have been like, no, it's impossible. How can we make a film over the course of, because we shot over the course of like a year and a half, you know, like it was like this tapestry of a film that got put together. And it really was because it really was born out of activism as well. So the people who came to work on it, nobody got paid, you know, not in front of the camera, not behind the camera. Everybody was there because they were just like, we need this as a community. Yeah. We need to see ourselves, because we felt at that moment, even though there were other lesbian films, we sort of felt at that moment that we didn't see something that was just like sweet and not wrought with, you know, like not like a suicide, not like a closeted thing, but just like just like our lives at that time. You know, I mean, those were our clothes, our homes, our cats. Yeah. You know, so it was really, for us representative of who we were as young people at that time.
Also with the L word, it was like a point in the middle to go through everything, like for lesbians mainly, that they didn't even know how it was to be a lesbian or how are you supposed to be. Like when you first made the first episode of the L word, how was everything? And also with all the people that has been watching everything all this time.
I don't know that I understand the question. So sí.
O sea, cuando hiciste The L Word, sí. En ese momento no había representación y fue como un punto de partida para toda la representación lésbica, sáfica que empezó a haber.
Sí, porque, well, it was, I think with the L Word, it was the first time that we had a series that was about lesbians that had money. You know, so we were able to be fancier. We were able to get bigger actors. You know, we had Showtime we were at Showtime, and I don't think the L Word would have happened without Queer as Folk, because Queer as Folk was on Showtime prior, and then it was just like, okay, well, how about us? You know, and Eileen Chaikin had just won an award for Dirty Pictures, the Mapplethorpe story, and so she had the some clout at Showtime. So, we were very ready. But I also knew that when the L Word was over, it would probably be another decade. Even though this proves to be like, you prove that you have an audience, you prove that people like the show, there's still this resistance to having another, you know, when the L Word ended, there should have been another lesbian show that was made by different makers, you know, that had, that kind of lived in a different geographic location, or, like, but now all that's happening is that then we had L Word Generation Q. Now I think there's going to be L Word New York, and it's the same franchise, coming back. And I'm grateful, obviously. But it would be nice to have other voices that would have money to do this and have that's the thing about when you make queer work. A lot of us make the work because we want it so bad to be out there, but we make it with our own money. We don't, and there's not a lot of people who are able to sustain a career. I'm so grateful that I have all these years, but there's a lot of people who can't, because anybody who's like anybody on the margins, it's like no one's going to give you a lot of budget, right? Because there's always this resistance to feeling like we are out there, but we are out here. Yeah. And so it's like, it's always like, no, that's just a niche market. And, I think there's so many people I don't think just lesbians watch the L Word. No. I think women watched it because it was this aspirational world where you could fail upward. Bet would get fired from her job at the gallery, and then the museum would call her, and she would she's like, oh my God, now I'm the director.
It was like everything.
Yeah. And there would, if you walk into a bar and there's a woman you thought was hot, you just be like, boop, you got, no problem, no problem. So I think that giving women that kind of power was something that I think a lot of women, not just lesbians, like to see, because there's not a lot of worlds of representation where women own that world, so yeah.
Do you think there was an evolution since then?
No, because every time we take steps forward, there's we're silenced again, and we go, you know what I mean? That's the cycle. And now in the US, that's not just 10 steps backwards. We're taking the whole table and we're turning it over, right? So, but here's the thing. I think we as a community know how to fight. I don't know what that form of fighting is going to look like, but I know that I know how to fight. And I think sometimes those of us who are older need to stand up now, need to help out, because we're the ones who have been arrested already. We're the ones who have gone and faced the cops. We are the ones, who have done that kind of thing before, who have been called names, who have been kicked out of bars, who have been kicked out of taxis. All those things have happened to me. You know what I mean? So, and I know what that feels like, and it's going to be okay. The problem, I think, for us always is that I think people thought marriage equality was, oh my God, we've made it. We're accepted. We're part of society. And it's not. We were, even if you were walking around with your wife, right? And you wanted to just have an anniversary dinner at a nice restaurant, and you have this moment where you kiss, and it's still going to bother everybody in that restaurant. You know what I mean? My brother and his husband had their 15th wedding anniversary, and they live in Wisconsin, which is, I'm always like, how do you exist here? But, because gays usually go to big cities, right? So we can at least feel safe. But, they had this anniversary, and the woman, they know the waitress, and, they mentioned it's our anniversary really softly. And she goes, it's your anniversary. And then they were like, fuck, we're going to get this whole restaurant is gonna turn on us. And what was really funny, and it made my brother cry, was that people were just when they were leaving, people were clapping and people were saying congratulations. And it's so hard because especially in the US, you look around and you're like, that's a Trumper. So they're gonna hate me. They're gonna beat me up. They feel emboldened to, you know what I mean? Now I'm right. My guy won, and I can act like him now, which is to thwart the law. To grab women by the pussy. I think men are just yes, I'm back. I can grab women by the pussy again. And if my wife doesn't want to fuck me, I can fuck her anyway. And who's going to do anything to me? Because this is the example that's been set, right? And this is really the message. And so there's been this backlash from Me Too, where it's there's literally a T-shirt in the U.S. that your body, my choice is a new T-shirt that's selling. I mean, what the fuck, you know what I mean? But this is it. It's women have to, putting women down, keep them at home, let them have babies, get out of the workplace. We got it. And all men do is destroy. I'm sorry, men. But it's I'm so sick of living in the destruction and the mistakes of men. This is all this is, or the egos. And you don't care how many people you take with you. It's insane to me. but I don't think that they're kind of human at this point. I don't think these men have any kind of empathy. I mean, obviously Donald Trump is a psychopath, but like I believe that something happens when you have too much power. There's a disconnect that happens and you start to think that you are better, that you can do all these things, that you can destroy lives, that you can cause all the destruction, and I don't know, because a lot of these men have kids. So I'm like, what kind of world are you even, but they're like, no, my kids will live in the, my kids will live in the palace. So it's fine. There's a lack of humanity, really.
Honestly, I'm not sorry for them because they've never felt sorry for us on everything that they made us. So I'm not sorry for them.
We're just things to be manipulated. Yeah. And how do you bend all these people into to do your will, right? Yeah. You have to starve them and you have to subjugate them. And that's crazy to me that that's the plan. That the plan is not to be happy and to be peaceful and to allow each other to live, right? It's so different, the two visions. And that's why I cried and cried at when Trump won again. Because I'm like, how can you look at these two people and go like, oh no, I want the rapist, twice impeached, con man, failed businessman to run the country. Yeah, that's who I want. He makes
always the white guy.
Yeah.
And
he's pretty much this color, but it's okay.
What's the advice that you would give to young women, queer? Yeah. What would you tell them, like right now?
I'd say, be strong and do work. Like everybody has a camera, right? That's your phone, and it's a pretty great camera at this point. And like you have friends, and like make your work, do your images. Like we have platforms, The problem is I'm also saying like do it for no money, but we all have to make a living somehow. But I think it's very important at this point to just keep on pushing content out. Whether it's music, whether it's fan fiction, whether it's comics. A woman just in Paris just gave me a comic that she made. She goes, because I can make it for so little money. And it's a lesbian love story, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's amazing to me. But I think I feel sorry for everyone who's going to get squeezed out like in the middle of the country, and all these gay kids or trans kids they need images. And we need to always signal to each other that we're out here. Yeah.
And we need like having safe place.
Yes.
So
yes, we need safe spaces. Obviously, I think you always we need a place to gather and find each other. Yeah. That is our history, and we've done it before.
Thank you so much for everything and for being here. It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for all the questions and and for the interview. Yeah, thank you so much.